Hello, everyone. My name is Aquilino, and I manage the keto support group, Keto Kaleidoscope, Look Inside and Discover the Beauty of Change. And I'm just on here. I ask my group to just ask me any questions that they wanted answered, and I would jump on and do a video, and I would answer all the questions. So if you're not in my group, we started about probably 2.5 months ago, and we have about 1,400 members now, and it's supportive and empowering, and it's fun. And I know I've actually learned a lot. I've been on this journey since September of 2018, and I've lost 70 pounds, probably about 12 pant sizes and a few shirt sizes. So this is my lifestyle now, and I've done a lot of research. I'm actually in the middle of becoming Keto Coach certified. So I will be working with individual clients probably in the next 3 or 4 months. So, you can always contact me through my group, and the link is down below. So we'd love to have you. We have a great group of people. So anyway, there was about 8 or 9 of you that threw me questions. So I appreciate it. And I actually learned something because a couple of the questions I wasn't really sure of. So I actually had to do my research, which is wonderful because as much research and podcasts and things like that I do, it's really nice to dig into a subject maybe that I hadn't thought of or that hadn't kind of been part of my journey. So I appreciate, everybody that asks questions, So the first thing before we dig into the questions, the first thing is I just want to kind of do a mindset. I actually had a keto meetup yesterday. Once a month, I do local meetups for our local people. And I think one of these times we're going to try to go live so we can incorporate, everybody in the group. I'd love to meet all 1,400 of you. But so the one thing that I really stressed yesterday, and I think the people there appreciated it, was that the keto mindset, while most people get on this to lose weight, and that's completely understandable. Back when I was starting, I had done so many different Weight Watchers and different plans, and I would lose weight, I'd be successful, and then I would get lax, and I would gain it all back plus some. So in doing this journey, I had to have a reason and a motivator that was more than just the weight loss. My blood numbers were decent, my cholesterol was creeping up a little bit, but for the most part, I was tired of being tired and low energy and brain fog, and I was just tired. So I just realized that I needed to do this for more than just weight loss, and I needed to do it because I wanted to feel good. So that being said, guys, I just want you to know that this is the biggest thing that motivates me to live this lifestyle every day. I have about 15 more pounds to lose, but I've lost 70. And I can tell you life happens. And there's been days when I just want that cupcake. I'm just going to eat it. It doesn't have natural sugar. It doesn't have, artificial sweeteners in it. And it's not keto, but I just want it. But you know what? Then I stop and I think about how I feel mentally and how much more I can do. And the energy that I have now, I work a full-time job. I manage my group. I'm going for my Keto Coach certification. So I have all these things going on, and I have the energy to do it. So that's what keeps me motivated. So I guess what I'm saying is I want you guys to have that to come back to when you start losing motivation, or you have a day where you just feel tired and you're just you feel like you eat the same foods and all that. The mindset should be that I'm doing this to get healthy. Keto heals your body from the inside out. And as it heals, it will drop the pounds. It will. You need to trust the process. Didn't come on overnight, not going to come off overnight. But I just wanted to kind of just put that in there in your mindset that's kind of really what is inside of me to, keep me motivated through the days that are tough, because this is life and stuff happens. And so, the weight loss is good, and, try not to use the scale as your only piece of success factor. Measure, take pictures. I wish I would have taken pictures. I have some older pictures. The problem was I cropped them so much that, from my waist down, you don't see much of my before pictures. So I would encourage you to take pictures and share your journey, share your, pictures on our group. We try to keep track of all the weight loss our group has lost. So I would just encourage you to be in tune with your body on how you feel and not just look at the scale. Now, if you haven't lost weight for a few weeks, you can reach out to me. We'll try to figure out what's going on. But for the most part, that's kind of what I wanted to just kind of put into a perspective for you as you, no matter where you are in your journey. If you just started, if you're thinking about starting, just know that the way you feel will keep you more motivated than any number on the scale. That can be kind of a temporary thing, but if you feel good, it really just changes your mindset too. So that all being said, I'm going to dive right into the questions. So the first question came from, I had it right here, and I do have my cheat sheets because I did talking points because I did not want to miss anything. So Michael Triplet was the first one, so I appreciate you asking the question. He asked, thoughts on the new Gatorade Zero and best carbs to have during the day. So I searched Gatorade Zero. I hadn't looked at the ingredients or anything like that. Here is a visual of it in case you guys want to get it in the store. I show you this if you want to take a screenshot. I show you this because it is pretty keto. The ingredients are good. It will help you with electrolytes. It does have sucralose in it, and that is an artificial sweetener. For the most part, it's not going to spike your insulin level. Sucralose is okay. It's not one that I use. Would I use it in an extreme circumstance? Sure. There's ones like aspartame I would never use. But sucralose is okay. So it does have sucralose in it. Some people are really strict on just staying with natural sweeteners. This is definitely artificial. But again, I think it's okay. It's not going to spike your insulin levels. But yeah, so there's no sugars. There's only 2 grams of carbs. And so I think, it'll help with your electrolyte imbalance. If you start getting headaches and things like that. So I would say Gatorade Zero is a plus, and the ingredients look fine. And yeah, so it's awesome. The other question he had was best carbs to have during the day. So pretty much the best carbs on keto are, your green leafy vegetables, your kale, your romaine lettuce, your celery, your cucumbers, and nuts and seeds. That's where most of your carbs, or pretty much all your carbs, should come from when you're trying to hit your daily carbs. In my group, I encourage 20 net carbs a day, which comes from, again, veggies, nuts, and seeds. So those are kind of the best carbs to eat. Now, when you say during the day, so I would say that, the research shows that if you eat most of your carbs in the late afternoon or evening, that's better. Because if you tend to eat all your carbs in the morning, you could have a spike in your insulin, and even though you're staying at that 20 gram net carbs, and you could feel hungry during the day. That's how we all started this whole thing is, you eat more carbs, you feel more hungry. So if you have a choice, sometimes you don't have a choice, that's fine. But if you can avoid having carbs first thing in the morning, now if you intermittent fast, that makes it easy because you pretty much don't have breakfast. But I would say later afternoon, evening, eat your carbs. So because it gets out of your system quick, you burn fat while you sleep. So when you say during the day, for lunch you can have a salad, things like that. But I would wait till early afternoon to have your carbs rather than have them a bulk in the morning, or even try not to have them until noon. I think that's a little piece that would benefit you. And I think even if you're doing moderate exercise, if you're walking, if you're lifting some hand weights, you don't need to pre-carb, you don't need to post-carb. The fat you have that you're eating through the keto lifestyle is going to have you enough energy for your body to use as fuel when you're exercising. So I wouldn't worry about that. If you are doing high intensity training, I would certainly have carbs either pre or post, maybe both. So if you're doing high intensity, definitely load up on the carbs on both ends. If you're just doing like I just walk and things like that, I think you're good. Just kind of leaning more toward the afternoon and evening to have your carbs. And like I said, nuts, I pack pecans, macadamia nuts, things like that. Green leafy vegetables. I usually have a salad for lunch around 1:00. And so that's kind of, hopefully that answers your question. And again, thank you for asking that question. So the next question came from Heather Lane. Thank you, Heather. So her question is, I asked for either questions or a topic. So the ingredients hidden in the small print on the nutrition labels that we should watch out for. Yeah, that's a good one. There are so many hidden sugars. There's probably over 70 names for them. In my group, I do have a list of ones you have to watch for. Sometimes it's nice to kind of have a few names at the forefront of your brain when you're shopping so that you kind of know what to look out for. So let me just go down a list of things to just watch for. And you guys can always come back to this video. This will be easy for me to put new people that they can, really get a solid list of ingredients really to watch for that could get you in trouble, spike your insulin, increase your blood sugar, which then takes you out of ketosis. So let's see. First of all, if it has sugars in it, if it says the word sugar, whether it's, cane sugar, raw sugar, agave sugar, whatever, don't eat it. That's a given. And a lot of stuff that claims to be keto isn't. So that's why you really have to watch. So anything with the word sugar in it, don't partake in that. Anything with syrup, juice, or cane in it, cane syrup, fruit juice, high fructose corn syrup, avoid it all. It's all sugar and it's all going to spike you. If you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't eat it. And I know you've probably heard that before, but if it sounds if it sounds like a chemical, and you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. The other thing is if it ends in OSE, OSE, 99% of the time, you don't want it. If it ends in OSE, like glucose or like fructose or dextrose, things like that, you don't want to eat it. Grains and wheats, we don't want grain. If you want like rice grain or you see rice wheat, we don't want wheats and we don't want grains. That can spike your level. Maybe not on one particular product, but it's good practice to get into, because if you would have 3 ingredients you eat and they all have that rice wheat, you could be looking at 40 grams of carbs instead of 20. So you really have to just really be label watchers. Honey, dried fruit is bad. Anything dried fruit, any honey, agave syrup, all that stuff. That's, you don't want that. I have a list that I will put in our group of the entire list of names not to eat. So I will put that in the group, but it would take me too long here to go over every one. But those are just kind of high level words that you can, when you see them, you're going to be, okay, I don't want to eat this. So, and always be leery of things that say light and low fat and sugar free and no sugar added and things like that. Don't go by the front of the label. You really need to be smart and go by the back of the label where they have all the ingredients listed, because you would be surprised. Since we're on the thing of labels, as you guys know, I promote in my page, maltodextrin. You never want it. It is, table sugar has a glycemic index of like 64. I think maltodextrin, don't quote me on this, but it's like 78. It's worse than sugar. So that in of itself could take you out of ketosis. So maltodextrin is something you definitely don't want. So in saying that, what I did was I printed out something that I just want to kind of show you on how to read the labels. So I'm going to put my readers on because I am blind without them. So here's a label. Okay, it's Halo Top ice cream. Okay, and so you see it says erythritol, which is a sugar alcohol. That's fine. That's like your Swerve. And then you have fiber, which is fine, and you have organic cane sugar. That's not fine. And then you have organic stevia. Stevia is fine. Stevia is a sugar that is a sweetener, a keto sweetener that's fine. So let's look down here where we see so if you have the total fat is 2 grams. Look, guys, the other thing I want to say is make sure you watch for the servings. The servings are 4 per container. So people get in trouble. They think this is for the entire bag or box or whatever it is, or the entire pint of this ice cream. So it's only a quarter of it, okay? And so it's a half cup. So you have the fat listed, and then you have the total carbs. You're going to minus the dietary fiber, minus the sugar alcohols to get your net carbs. So that's kind of how you do that. I have a video reading labels in the announcement post. So I'm not going to go over that today with this, but just know that in terms of the ingredients, organic sugar is not good. Organic stevia is fine. Let's see, vanilla extract is fine. If you see fiber, that's usually pretty good. So this is just an example of a label that, that you can read and get smart. Let's look at one more. I just want to show you one more. So these just stand out. sugar. You see sugar right there. And then you see maltodextrin. And then you see sugar. So you sodium, sugar. I think there was another one I saw. Soy oil. That's not good either. So, you think you're picking up some vegetables, mustard greens, and you don't realize what's in it. So some of your canned vegetables, some of your protein shakes, your protein bars, they're absolutely filled with stuff. So you really have to be good ingredient readers. So Heather, I hope that answers your question. I think I answered your question. So yeah, so that's kind of the gist of what you need to watch out for. Okay, on to Barb Patterson-Hahn. Thank you for your question. She said, how does artificial sweeteners play into ketosis? So as you know, ketosis is what happens, our body's in state of ketosis when we restrict carbs, so it's burning body fat. And we eat healthy fats, it turns to ketones, and that's what we burn, and then we burn body fat. And that's how we cleanse our body from inflammation, all that. We're getting rid of all that yucky stuff that we've been feeding it for years and years. So there's three types, let's start there. There's three types of sweeteners. There's sugar, like sugar cane, all the names of the sugar I just gave you. There's honey, there is, like I said, there's only over 70 names of them. I'll put it on the group. But if you ate a half of a candy bar with sugar in it, you would be over your 20 to 25 net carbs. So sugar is something that does not work with ketosis. Okay, but I know you asked about artificial. I just wanted to say that. Artificial sweeteners, okay? There's artificial sweeteners, and there's also natural sweeteners or sugar alcohols, okay? So there's three types. Sugar we want to avoid. Artificial sweeteners, sucralose, aspartame, and saccharin. Saccharin sweet and low. Aspartame is in sodas and things like that. I don't encourage aspartame or saccharin or sucralose. I don't really care for artificial sweeteners. I try to avoid them. Like I said, I will do sucralose once in a while because it doesn't tend to spike one's blood sugar. But so artificial sweeteners are something that you can eat them. They're not going to kick you out of ketosis. If you drink a Diet Coke with aspartame in it, it's not going to kick you out of ketosis. Is it it's got other health negatives to it? Absolutely. And that's why I really don't promote it in my group. So artificial sweeteners are okay for ketosis, but they're not real healthy. So it's got to be your choice. The next group that I'm going to talk about, natural sweeteners and sugar alcohols, is what I use. I use two kinds of sweeteners. I use monk fruit and I use Swerve. And they are two that will not spike your blood sugar. They're natural. They're not artificial. They're not processed. They come from natural sources, plant sources. So stevia is good. Allulose, that's a newer one on the market. Monk fruit and erythritol, which is Swerve. So any of those are great. Except in the rare occasion, sometimes, an individual might spike with one of these, but 99% of the time you are fine with eating these, and you should stay in ketosis. It should not affect your ketosis levels in terms of the carbs. If you stay within 20 grams of carbs and you use these sweeteners for like any baked goods you eat, things like that, you should be just fine. So again, monk fruit, stevia, I wish I liked it. I don't like the aftertaste. So for me, I can't do stevia. I do monk fruit and I do monk fruit and Swerve. So that's what I bake with and things like that. And they have brown sugar, they have powdered sugar. So no matter what your recipe calls for, those are good to use. And so they're pretty safe with ketosis. They're very keto friendly. At our meeting yesterday, real quick as a side note, since we were talking about sugars, some people said, their goal is to just get away from the sugar. Like, in other words, just get away from the taste. Look, I love sugar, and that's what got me in this predicament. So for me, I won't ever give up sugars. I mean, I wish I could do my coffee without sugar, so I'm not breaking my fast, and I could have my coffee earlier in the day. But I like sugar, and this is life. And when I use monk fruit, it doesn't affect ketosis. It keeps me healthy. It's natural. It makes foods taste delicious. It just does. So I don't feel like I'm missing anything on keto because I am I'm able to bake goods that taste really good. Now, let's not talk about fruit. Fruit's another thing. That's one of my my biggest, what I miss is apples and grapes and watermelon, things like that. But you can't really replicate that in keto. So that's one of the things we just give up for to live just a healthy lifestyle. So, anyway, so I just wanted to say that about sweeteners. If you do want to ever track if you're really curious if something would spike you, the Keto Mojo, it's on Amazon, or they have a website. It's really good. It's pretty expensive. The actual Mojo is not expensive, but the strips that every time you test your blood, you have to, it's like $1. So it can add up. But if you get one, you don't have to test your blood sugar a lot, just if you're curious. Or for me, if I have a day where I'm really dragging tired, and I'm thinking, well, am I getting sick? I mean, I haven't been sick since August when I started this, but am I getting, I'll check just to make sure that my blood sugars aren't high or not in ketosis, because a good way to tell if you're in ketosis besides blood is how you feel. If you feel energized and you feel like mentally with mental clarity, then you're probably in ketosis. I mean, it's a good thing, it's a good way to be able to tell and get to know your body. So that being said, so I hope that answers your question. So let's go on to the next one. I had Paula Queen. Thank you, Paula, for your question. She said, is it okay to fast all day and try and eat all your macros in one meal for dinner? Or is it better to eat a little bit all day? So I know back in the day we were taught that, I know when I did Weight Watchers and stuff, you got to keep eating all the time because of your metabolism. It keeps your metabolism high. Eat breakfast, eat a snack, eat lunch, eat a snack. You got to eat first thing in the morning. Breakfast is the most important meal. Well, research that's coming out, research I've done, and probably since, the 1920s, we don't have to do that. I mean, we're lucky in that we don't ever have to put ourselves in a fasting state because we have food readily available, which is probably what got us to need to clean our bodies out, in the first place. But I just want to say that, I think that eating 6 meals a day is probably not the best. I think eating 2 or 3 meals at the most. So it's different if you're just starting out and you're not intermittent fasting and you're just trying to eat your macros within the day. I would say 2 or 3 meals, because I'll tell you, even if you can get to 12 hours without eating, something in your body happens, and it's called autophagy. And I've researched this so much. It's basically where your cells do house cleaning. They get rid of all the bad stuff. The mitochondria, which is the powerhouse, it gets rid of all the bad stuff in your cells. And so it keeps you healthy, and it gets rid of all the toxins. And it can do that because your cells aren't busy working to break food down. So that's why fasting is so good. I don't recommend it when you first start keto. You just need to get used to eating your 20 net carbs a day, get used to things like that. But then, but back to the question, I think if you are doing intermittent fasting and you're trying to meet your macros, I would say for the first week, try to meet all your macros in 2 meals. If you're just doing 1 meal, that's probably different. If you're like on a 24, meaning 20, you fast 20 hours, you fast 4, you eat, you're probably not going to hit your macros. But you have to make sure you try to get your carbs in, because those are nutrients you need. So try to get your 20 grams of net carbs in. Fats and proteins, as long as they stay like a ratio. For example, if I eat 50 grams of protein and 100 grams or 90 grams of fat a day, if I want to lower that to 40 grams of protein and 90 grams or 80 grams of fat, it's okay as long as you're not eating all protein or all fat. So you kind of have to just make sure the ratios are kind of in line with your, I think fat is a goal. I know a lot of people argue fat's a lever. If you're not hungry, don't eat. I'm not telling you to just keep eating to gorge yourself. But I'm saying that if you're going to eat something, try to make sure those healthy fats are part of what you eat. Okay, because that is why this works. The weeks that I did not have high fats on my macros, I tried a couple weeks. I got less on fat. I lost a half a pound as opposed to 2 to 3. So for me, I really think fat is where it's at. I mean, all 3 macros work together, but fat's really important. So to answer your question, yes, I would go ahead and try to eat your macros in your window that you're eating. I would not try to do it for 1 meal. But I definitely would not eat more than, say, 3 times a day. For me, I intermittent fast from 12 to 8. I'm sorry, I eat from 12 to 8. From noon to 8 is my eating window. So I eat lunch. I have a snack around 3, and then I have dinner. But right before like 10 of 8, before my end of my window, I have a fat bomb, because it's really good to really get that good fat before you stop eating or before you go to bed. So if you're not fasting, try to have a good dose of fat, maybe, some cream cheese and peanut butter or something before you go to bed, because you burn fat when you sleep. So I hope that answers your question. We're trying to get away from having people eat 6, 7 meals a day and go back to 2 or 3, and fasting is just really good. And when you're on the keto, it happens naturally, guys, because you eat so much fat, you feel full. I mean, you feel satisfied. So that's why I try to make sure in my macros when I track them that I really get my fats in before I get so full I can't get them in, if that makes sense. So I think the most popular fast is 16-8. You fast for 16, you eat for 8. But again, get used to the other macros, and then possibly start, intermittent fasting. And then if you feel like you're really not hungry and you're really struggling to eat all your macros within like an 8-hour window, we can look at your macros. Just let me know and send me a message or something, and we can look at your macros. We can lower them a little bit if you really feel like, because obviously if you eat less calories, your weight loss, may seem it would be maybe more, but there's so many factors. Our body's so healing, and it's not easily releasing that fat. So you just don't know. But just try to keep your meals to not, to 2 or 3, 4 frequencies a day to eat, whether you're eating all day or whether you're fasting. And let's see, once you become, once you become fully fat adapted, like I say, this will naturally happen. You will get full and you'll be like, hey, I don't really need to eat till noon, especially if you do bulletproof coffee. And there's a whole nother video I have on what breaks a fast. They're coming out with new research that is showing that nothing breaks a fast except for maybe sugars, because it's something with our brain connection. But I have a video in my announcements. You guys can read about that. So just to recap, try to stay within your macros, get your carbs in, get your 20 net carbs in, eat those vegetables. Fat and protein, try to keep it within a ratio, okay? Intermittent fasting, it supports, it controls your insulin level, it lowers inflammation, it triggers autophagy, which cleans your cells. So intermittent fasting is a great addition to keto, when you feel like you're ready for it. Helps with mental clarity, all that kind of stuff. So intermittent fasting, I'm a big fan. So let me just show you real quick, and then I can't believe I've been on here for 27 minutes already, but here's a schedule. So basically, you see from, you're sleeping from 12 to 8 a.m., okay? And then from, from 8 a.m. to noon, you're fasting. And then from noon to 8, you'll eat. And then from, 8 to midnight, you're fasting again. So, you're sleeping through half of your fast if you do a 16-8 fast. So this is I'm going to put this in my group too, so that's kind of the schedule for the intermittent fasting. Okay, so Barb Patterson Hahn, what about cholesterol, and won't keto drive it through the roof? So to keep this high level, there's so much research about keto and cholesterol. I'm going to post, Dr. Barry is a guy that I really respect in the keto community. He's a general practitioner, but he has great videos out there. And if you're ever looking for a topic and I haven't posted in our group, I would do a Google search on Dr. Barry. He's really good. So I'm going to post that video on our group. But look, let me just say, I'm just going to kind of do a couple bullet things to kind of just put all this together. So 75% of the cholesterol that's in our body is made by our body. 25% are in the foods we eat. Okay, 25% are in the foods we eat. The biggest question to ask yourself is, and this is kind of going over the video, because I did a lot of research today. I looked at, and I think that the bigger question to ask ourselves is, what's going to lower our risk for heart disease and stroke? Cholesterol is not it. It's our cholesterol number is not it. As a matter of fact, studies show that it's worse to have low cholesterol than high cholesterol. If that makes any sense. Cholesterol is not a good judge of heart disease, okay? So it doesn't predict your chances of having a heart attack or a stroke. so I'm left with what does research show that does affect that? And that's what you want to know. Okay. So when you get your number from the doctor and it's higher, well, it may be that your good cholesterol is high, your HDL, which I call the happy DL. That's how I remember it, H&L. But that you have to look at that too. And it's more about lipids than it is cholesterol. So I'm not going to delve into the whole cholesterol thing, but please know that cholesterol is not something, is not a driving factor. A lot of nutritionists, a lot of doctors aren't quite caught up with that yet. And I'm certainly not a doctor. I mean, I don't play one on the internet or on this video, but I have done my research with the top researchers. And so I'm just learning this stuff from studies they've done. And you can Google it and, especially Dr. Berry, and find out what he's out there saying. And your body needs cholesterol. We need cholesterol. It's a necessity for brain health and everything. So don't worry about cholesterol. So what should we worry about? Let's get to that. So the visceral fat, our belly fat, they call it waist to height ratio. Depending on how tall you are, how big is your belly? And there's measurements you can look up, but that's more, having a lot of fat around your vital organs, that is a big deterrent on your risk for heart disease. It's not cholesterol. High triglycerides, high insulin levels, huge factor for your heart disease risk and your stroke risk. Inflammation markers, huge one. So the standard American diet is processed sugary foods. It's going to lead to the big waist. It's going to lead to high triglycerides, and it's going to lead to inflammation. If you think about it, keto, right? Keto takes care of all that. It helps with inflammation. It gets your blood sugars down because we just talked about sugars, and you eat the sugars that don't spike it. So keto helps with the factors that matter for heart disease. Keto supports it. So I encourage you to do your own research. I really do. And the research is out there. There's studies still being done and coming out. But that's kind of how, I feel about the whole cholesterol debate. So when you say, will it drive it through the roof? No, keto does not. Keto actually, when you drop weight, your cholesterol can go up a little bit. Okay. But it comes back down. And I've had people message me saying, my cholesterol went up, but again, don't stress about cholesterol. Please don't stress about cholesterol. Do your research. You'll find that what I'm saying is pretty accurate. And let's focus on getting our waist down. Let's focus on moving more. Let's focus on, eating keto and inflammation and all that. So that's where I'm going to leave it with the cholesterol. Okay. So Debbie Galloway Mosley, she asked, maybe samples of daily meals. It seems I eat the same stuff every day, and it tends to be grab and go foods, and cooking for one is challenging. So I hear you. That's a good question. A couple things I just want to say. So meal prep makes it easy. Every Sunday I do hard-boiled eggs. I cut up celery. I do things like that. I actually make one dinner on a Sunday that I can actually use for leftovers one night that week. For dinner again, or I can take it for lunch. So I definitely encourage meal prep, maybe not for the whole week, that overwhelmed me too, but maybe 2 or 3 days, you kind of know, make your salads ahead of time, things like that. For breakfast, obviously eggs, but you can make egg muffins in the muffin tins. I use the silicone ones. You can put ham, cheese, tomato. You can put all kinds of stuff in those, and you can bake them. And then you are ready to go. You can just pop one and take it in the car, or it's easy on the go, breakfast. And so the recipe for that is in my group. The baked, you can put cheese, bacon, sausage, whatever. So another thing you can do is a protein shake. You can put almond milk, a scoop of Kiss My Keto protein powder, peanut butter, 100% Keiko, Ghirardelli. So there's a recipe on my group for that as well. So those are kind of just quick meals if you don't want to sit down and make yourself an omelet if you're, rushing for work or something like that. For lunches, I do salads, grilled chicken. I usually keep a rotisserie chicken in my refrigerator, leftovers from your meal prep, like I was saying. Keto chili, there's a great recipe for that in a crock pot. Snacks. So I usually have all these at work. We have a refrigerator at work. I'm very blessed. Olives, string cheese, hard-boiled eggs, salami, pecans, macadamia nuts, Parmesan crisps. You can get those at Sam's Club. Pickles. I keep fat bombs at work if I feel like I need to pick me up. And dinners, I just do a meat. I do some green leafy vegetables. Radishes, you can fry those up in the skillet with butter. They're amazing. Meatballs with marinara sauce. Matter of fact, that's what I'm having tonight. Meatballs with marinara sauce and cheese. and I make it in single, you could put it in single serve containers, and you can, you can have that. So those are just some ideas, on how to, how to make meals. And not, I know sometimes you feel like you're eating the same foods day in and day out. But once you get used to this, you can, look in our recipe, and you can get more extensive recipes with all the different, and, make simple peanut butter cookies, chocolate chip cookies that are on our group. So that's, hopefully that helped you, hopefully that helped you a little bit, in figuring out, what maybe some ideas to eat and things like that. So let me, okay, so that, hopefully that helped you with the snack ideas. So, Tammy Andrews, just how to start. It's really hard with so many hidden ingredients, safe foods. Okay, so earlier in this video, I hope, you were paying attention to that, or you can go back to it, because that's where I list all the labels we need to read and we need to watch for. So that would hopefully answer one of those questions. And how to start. I have a video in my announcement post on getting started, the top things that worked for me, and I feel like I was very successful with keto. And so I did in the video, in the announcement post, I would really encourage you to watch it, but let me just highlight. So keep things simple. Ensure your macros are set correctly. If you're in my group and you need some macro help, please message me. I would rather look at your macros, make some suggestions, rather than you follow macros and realize you weren't following what you should have been. So please, I encourage you to set your macros, track them. If you want me to look at them, I'll be happy to do that. For the first week, just concentrate on staying at 20 to 25 net carbs. Fat and protein, while you're gonna set your macros, that's not quite as important. Your body's gonna go through some shock. It's transitioning from burning that sugar and the carbs to burning fat. So you're going to go through some physical changes and things like that. Like I said, keep things simple. Don't worry about making big recipes. Just have like eggs and salami, some of the other lists that I just mentioned, with the other list I was giving. Keep the fat and protein on your radar, of course. They're important. But right now, I just want you to get in the beginning. I just want you to get used to the carb, lowering your carbs. Clean out your refrigerator, clean out your cabinets, have a specific place for you. That's what I did. I cleaned them all out. I call it my comfort zone. I knew that whenever I went into a cabinet or refrigerator space, that stuff was okay for me to eat. It was. And so that's what I did. So just get rid of all the junk, load it up with healthy stuff you can eat, because, if it's not there, you can't eat it. So that's a huge one. Eggs, banana, butter, cheese, cream cheese, celery, peanut butter, nuts. I always have all those in my house, in my refrigerator. So hopefully that'll help. Those are some good points on getting started. Okay, so Alini Harris. She asks, why when you're fat adopted, the fat just doesn't fall right off, or that you aren't continually losing weight? Well, you may not continually be losing weight at the scale, but you're continually losing inflammation. Okay, guys, back what I said in the beginning of this video, this diet, this lifestyle heals you from the inside out. Everything's inflamed. Our organs, our cells, our membranes, everything is inflamed. And so living this lifestyle every day, whether the scale moves or not, we are getting healthier. And that is like the best feeling. And you will probably start to feel better before you have like your first goal of 15 pounds to lose or 20 pounds to lose. You're going to feel it physically on how awesome it is. And that's because our body is slowly healing. We didn't put this on overnight. We're not going to take it off. So I encourage you to know that when the scale's not being, that's why I say take pictures, take measurements, because then you can look back and you can see some non-scale victories, we call them. So, I would encourage you to do that. All the years of eating carbs, our bodies are just, our body's stubborn. It's going to hold on to that fat until it wants to release it. I have a video on the whoosh effect, on what causes stalls. That would be a good video for you guys to watch. It explains exactly what happens and why it takes a little time to release that fat. I think like I said, again, the greatest part of this lifestyle is the mental clarity, the physical, just feeling like you can multitask and you can not forget things, and you can just feel your best. Okay. And weight loss is the most amazing side effect to this. So I'm not saying you're not going to lose weight, but I'm just saying, just be patient, trust the process, and it'll come off. So some days it won't be rapid. Okay. Some weeks it won't be rapid, and try to weigh yourself weekly, because our bodies fluctuate. And if you only do weekly, then you're not as apt to see all the, like if you gain a pound for a day and then you're going to lose 2, there's more of a chance for you to see a loss after a week. When I first started, I only did it every 3 weeks because I knew after 3 weeks I would see progress, maybe 5 pounds, 6 pounds. But if you do need to weigh yourself weekly, that's fine, do that. But try not to get into the habit of weighing yourself daily because you will drive yourself a little crazy. You'll try to figure out what you're doing wrong when you're not doing anything wrong. Your body's just healing. So that's pretty much what it is. So Barbara Pickens is the next one. Is it safe to do a beef and fat fast? What do you think about Dr. Berg's keto on steroids? Okay, so first thing, is it safe to do a beef and fat fast? I personally would recommend intermittent fasting before any kinds of these fasts. The only way that, and your beef and fat, one is one, there's egg fast. I'm learning about several more than that out there through my certification, and I would recommend them to clients that have certain issues. But in general, if you hit a stall, and a stall is 3 or more weeks not losing a pound, 3 weeks, not 3 days, 3 weeks, not losing any weight. So if you hit that, then it's time to maybe look to change things up. And like I say, there's so many more out there, okay, than the beef and fat fast. It's not going to hurt you. Is it going to change things up? Yeah, it is. It's pretty much, it's pretty much saying that you pretty much just eat beef and fat and you really, really lower your carbs, even from 20, which I say you really need 15 a day. I really do. The longest you should stay on it, I think, is 3 days. They say 3 to 5. I think 3 days is the longest. And you might see some movement at the scale. But again, I think that intermittent fasting is the way to go. And even if you're intermittent fasting and then you hit a stall, then maybe you need to look at one of these other fasts. There's carb cycling. There's all kinds of things you can try to get your body movement. Anyone that takes all the carbs away, I'm not real thrilled with. But is it going to hurt you? I don't know that it's going to hurt you, but just not having the carbs is not real. It doesn't make me real happy. So that being said, you should be fully fat adapted before you try any fast. Okay. Because when you do a fast, you are keeping your body from getting some nutrients. Okay. So beef and fat fast, you can try it if you want. Let us know how it goes. But I don't like the fact that it's pretty much, low carbs. So, and you're really just doing all the fat, which fat is good, but it's a nice rhythm with the protein and carbs that keto is. So just keep that in mind. So I did watch Dr. Berg's Ketosis on Steroids. I did watch it. I had never seen it before. And there is only one thing that I agree with him on in that video is that exogenous ketones, I think a lot of people in my group use them perfectly fine. I'm glad you're in the group. I'm glad you're sharing your journey with us. But for me, the research I've done just shows me that I think it inhibits our bodies from making its own. Look, our bodies that's the best way they function with ketones, producing them and burning them for energy. So I don't really think that taking exogenous ketones is going to help. It's not going to, I think it may actually elicit your body to not make as many because, you don't need more than you use, okay? And if you've taken them and then you test your ketone strips and you're excreting them, what's the point? I know they're pretty expensive, but in saying that, there's some people that have a business from that, and that's good. And we're an inclusive group, and I welcome anybody. But for me, if someone's asking my opinion on it, I think exogenous ketones, I won't use them. So I want to teach my body to make them and burn them every day of my life. And I don't want to have to rely, I don't want my body to think they're going to get some, so they kind of stop making them, if you will. So the ketosis on steroids is kind of like just a sped up version of ketosis. Basically, you're taking it down to 0, your carbs, and you are eating lower fat and lower protein. So you're obviously lowering your calories. Again, this lifestyle is not a quick fix, and I feel like doing something like this is a quick fix. Now, I will say that if a doctor says, is trying to get a quick kind of relief for seizures in children, or a pre-diabetes or something like that you're really trying to nip in the bud, maybe this would be good for a few days. I can't. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, but I would just say if I'm looking at if I'm looking at what I think about that, I think that would be one of my extreme things to go to. I don't know. I don't see me ever recommending that to a client, I guess is what I'm saying, unless they have certain things that they've talked to their doctor about. So, you know, and again, one of the points because keto is 5% carbs, 20% protein, and 75% fat. If you do the keto on steroids, all you eat is fatty meats. You can't, they're saying don't eat chicken, eat fatty hamburger, and no MCT oil, which if you know me, I am a huge proponent of MCT oil. I think it's the bomb. So it said also to lessen your meal. If you typically eat 2 meals, just eat 1 meal. So it's just kind of shrinking it down. It's just kind of, but for me, again, it's probably in certain situations it's okay. I don't think it's going to hurt you if you want to try it. But my opinion is I would try many other things first. Okay, so let's see. We have 2 more. Amber Ross Myers, fastest way to get back into ketosis after falling off the wagon for a few weeks. So I don't recommend cheating. There's so many good things we can eat, with the sugars I talked about. We can have, cookies and we can have pies. I made the most awesome coconut cream pie. And so cheating on keto is different than like cheating on maybe some other meal plans where you can just get back to it and, make up the points or whatever you're doing. But I think that cheating is not good. Back to exogenous ketones for a minute. I had people message me that say they carbed all weekend, pasta, pizza, sugars, candy, and then they double up their dose of exogenous ketones. Well, when I hear that, I'm like, okay, I don't recommend that. I don't recommend them anyway, but if you're using them so you can cheat, you're not on keto for the right reasons. Back to what I said. It's a mindset, guys. This lifestyle will keep you so healthy, but you have to want it, and you have to accept that there's going to be days where you're going to want something and you're going to eat something instead of it because you're healing your body. We want to be around and healthy and, as long as we can. So that being said, life happens. I will say life happens, and I know that, and there's going to be times you eat something, and it depends. If you have one cheat meal and you've been fat adapted, you've been doing keto for 6 months, you'll probably be in keto the next day, back in ketosis. But if you are like a woman that struggles with metabolism and you go for weeks, like this one person, if you go for weeks, like Amber's asking, it's going to take you a while. It's pretty much back to square one. Okay. So that being said, let me just tell you a couple things. Exercise more. Whatever you exercise before, exercise more. It'll get you moving. It'll support you a little bit in getting back ketosis a little quicker. MCT oil. A tablespoon of MCT oil every day. Even if you didn't before, do that. That supports getting you in ketosis. Hit your fat goal every day. Make sure you hit your fat goal every day in grams. Implement IF. Whether it's going to be tough for you to do it, but that's kind of the price you pay for cheating. But if you implement IF, where you do start out with a 14-hour window and then you eat for 10 hours, that is going to help you. The fasting state will help you get back in ketosis faster. Okay. Plus it's great for your body is intermittent fasting. What I wouldn't do is something like keto on steroids, things like that. I wouldn't do that for this situation. So the bottom line is there's so many great foods to eat. Don't cheat. Use our group for support. Use our group for recipes. We're there to help you. I'm in the group a lot. I do work full time. So I'm not in, during the day, I'm not in there a lot. It just in the evenings I am, and I'm going through my certification now. So that's taken some of my time. But I can tell you, before I started keto, I would never have had the energy to do all this. Thankfully, my kids are grown. They have their wings. I'm pretty hands off with them right now because they're living their dream and they're independent. But, I would not have had the energy to do all this, so that's what I'm saying. So do your best not to cheat. If you need to have a sweet potato, I'm not saying if you have a sweet potato once every 2 weeks, it's not going to kill you, but to go weeks and weeks, and then it's okay if you do, but just know that you're back to square one and you're going to have to start over, and you're going to have to just, do the intermittent fasting, exercise more, just kind of ramp things up just a little bit, but stay within your macros. Don't try to lower your caloric intake. Don't do that. Okay. So that's kind of what, okay. So let's see. I think that may be it. I just want to make sure I hit everybody. I think I did. I feel like I had more, but maybe that was it. Okay, so if I did miss one, I will jump back on and do it, but I'm just going through here. So guys, listen, thanks for listening. If you guys are not if you guys aren't a part of our group, we'd love to have you. We have an amazing group. I tell you, it's Keto Kaleidoscope. My husband had this this banner made for me, so you'll see that whenever I go video or go live. So I hope this helped, people out there. Again, my link is below. I also wanted to show you. So at our next month keto meetup, once a month I have a keto meetup for locals. We share recipes, things like that. My group has a 10% discount for Kiss My Keto, which you can get bars and shakes, and all their stuff is very keto, unlike Slim Fast. You don't want Slim Fast or Atkins products. So Kiss My Keto is one of them. Chalk Zero is another. They have chocolate bars, guys, that actually have MCT oil in them, which is, it's like a win-win for me. I mean, 2 grams of net carbs, all keto ingredients, and MCT oil. What's not to love? So they sent me a bunch of samples. I have like 5 bags of these. These are the chocolate bars with the MCT. They sent me the chocolate squares. They sent me some raspberry squares, and then they sent me some maple syrup. So I'm going to share these at my next keto meetup, and so if you want to try out their Kiss My Keto products or the Chalk Zero, in the announcements is the code that you put in for the 10% off. So, come and join our group, and, we're having fun. And, like I said, I'm becoming coach certified. I'm going to keep that group open, and my group members will be given access to, the things I'm learning and things like that, because, you guys are where it all started. So anyway, so thank you for listening. I have to go make my family dinner because they're getting hungry. So I will see you guys in the group. Thank you.